Before we start this video, I'm going to have you check out this clip. Give it a look.
Bye bye. Uh-oh. Bye bye. Bye bye. Uh-oh. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Uh-oh.
Now you might be thinking to yourself, what the fuck just happened? And when I first saw this clip, I was very confused too. As a longtime watcher of Petscop, I know that Paul is a very deductive man, but how much time would you need to figure this out? Ever since Paul picked up the game Petscop, he's devoted his entire life to it. At least it seems like it. Remember in Petscop 14 how he had literally went through walls that he couldn't even see and had to go through doors that he also couldn't see? In this specific clip, through Paul's point of view, the door is closed. However, we can see through the demo recording that the door is actually open.
Thankfully, I have been suddenly inspired by an idea that is, in a way, similar to the idea that brought me to this house. Because that idea involved pretending something was there that wasn't there. And this idea involves pretending that this door, right here, this one, is open rather than closed. You can see, right? I would just keep going into the room that's there. And I happen to know I'm going to walk into the room right now. I'm in the room.
In this specific clip, through Paul's point of view, the door is closed. However, we can see through the demo recording that the door is actually open. There are two different states of Petscop in which I will elaborate on in another video. However, the basic premise is that the demo recording had the door open, and the real recording had the door closed. Now for the people that have not seen Petscop and clicked on this video, because I know there are a few of you here, you might be really confused, and that's okay, which is why I directed you to watch the series in full before you watch this video. Random crazy bullshit like this will happen in Petscop because, I don't know, Paul just didn't record it. He doesn't record everything that happens in the Petscop universe because there's too much going on. Paul only records and uploads the things that he finds important. At first, he recorded everything that happened, specifically through Petscop 1 through 4. However, now he only records and posts what he believes is important to the Petscop game and the Petscop lore as a whole. Paul is pushing himself to the limit to uncover the secrets in Petscop, and this couldn't be described more with these lines.
I'm playing this game too fucking much.
A part of the fun of Petscop is not being able to see what happens before the recordings. The biggest example of this is between Petscop 16 and 17. The Ship in the Bottle episode is a super fucking weird one, and only after re-reviewing the series can I understand it fully. But after that episode, Paul just somehow figures out how to enter the impulse room through the sound test. You never know how Paul was able to figure out how to get into the impulse room, or how he was able to know the exact placement to cover the wall and enter the garage in Petscop 14. Everything in the series is cryptic and vague. You'll never know what will happen next, even with Paul putting countless hours dedicated to Petscop. It's really hard to decipher a game when it pulls shit like this. Alright, I'm gonna go off track here for a bit. The human mind works in a weird way, yet it is very simple when it comes to information storage. According to the University of Queensland, Australia, there are 3 areas of the brain involved in explicit memory: the hippocampus, the neocortex, and the amygdala. And according to the FAU, when a memory is created, information flows from the cortex, the part of the brain rich in nerve cells, to the hippocampus, the central switching point for memories in the brain. The information flows in the opposite direction when we retrieve a memory. Overexertion of the use of the brain can cause stress. Stress is detrimental to your health, according to neurosciencenews.com. Chronic stress causes autophagy in the adult hippocampal neural stem cells. This results in a decline of hippocampal neurogenesis. Cognitive deficits and mood disorders that arise as a result of chronic stress are a result of autophagic death of the hippocampal neural stem cells. Now, you might be asking why I just pulled up all of these studies stating overexertion of the brain can lead to brain damage. Well, I did this all to explain that Paul is really pushing himself to the limit with Petscop. He is under much stress due to the rapid amount of information he is gaining and requiring, so he has to use paper to cite his findings. This is crazy. Petscop is so vague that if you play it for long enough, it can lead to brain damage. Just like me playing Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne 3 for the first time. In fact, Petscop is so vague that most of this stuff just happens out of luck, like in Petscop 1 when Paul finds the hatch, or in Petscop 14 when he just so happens to stumble across the demo recording of Marvin in the bedroom. Petscop can be interpreted in many ways, but I like to interpret it in this specific too. Not only is Petscop a lesson on why stress is permanently detrimental to your health, but also a lesson in game design as a whole. Games shouldn't really hold your hand, but they also need to give you at least some hint as to where you're going next. For example, in Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, you have to rely solely on dialogue to know where you're going to go next. You have your friend Hijiri to tell you where to go sometimes, up until the incident. However, Paul is not the only one overexerting himself. We are also overexerting ourselves. Petscop theorists have been working to the bone ever since Episode 1 was released. Channels like Game Theory, Nightmare Masterclass, Pyrocynical, Necro, and Nexpo. A great channel I recommend checking out is Sock Muppet. He does great videos on Petscop, and multiple other things. They had to do hours upon hours of research for videos that are hours long, or multiple series of videos that last around 20 minutes on average. People have a strong interest in things that seem relatively undecipherable. This is why me and many others enjoy Petscop. Our brains are attracted to the complex and strange, and want to make something simple of it. Petscop has a lot of moving parts, such as the family, the YouTube channel, and the game's events. Juggling all of these pushes the mind to its limits, and this is what makes Petscop work.